Hi, I'm Lisa Singer, and welcome to Insider Summit BTS. It's Media Post's new show that we get to really talk with these amazing, influential women marketers, and I get to kind of pull back the curtain and find out a little bit more about them. And today with me is Alexis Kerr. She is the Vice President of the Mahogany brand at Hallmark Cards. Welcome, Alexis.
Thank you. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you, Lisa. It's just a pleasure.
I'm so excited. You have to, all right. We worked with Cadillac. You had been on one of our summits for Cadillac, which was great, and I loved you and talking to you. So you were definitely someone on my radar when this was launching. And as I'm looking at you on LinkedIn, I see that you've gone over to Hallmark Cards. Hallmark, it's like you've gone to my motherland. You know what I mean? Like Hallmark is the channel I go since even before it was cool to watch, which I don't know if that's ever the word, but before it became really popular. I was watching Hallmark Channel, so I was just like, oh my gosh. So anyway, I'm so excited to have you here and just be able to talk about this change and just your career path, because just from our previous conversation, I know it's so interesting. It's very, very diverse in terms of, all the little roads you've taken. So first, just talk about that in terms of, you've had such a varied background from when you first started your career to where you are today. And just kind of like walk us through, start us from the beginning, Alexis, just starting out, and then, how it sort of led you here.
Well, first of all, I'm super excited to again be having this conversation with you, but also just to be leading, an iconic brand here at Hallmark Mahogany, to be leading a brand that has been around for 30 years. Some of the things that have brought me to this place really started with my undergraduate degree in engineering, just allowing me to explore, I think, some of those nuances of the work that I did in undergrad, as well as a grad with my MBA and marketing really led to this experience, but had a number of different opportunities within different staff functional areas. So I've worked in IT, I've worked in engineering, I've also worked in sales as well as marketing, customer experience. I had an amazing opportunity to travel to the Middle East and lead the customer experience journey map with a number of different dealer networks and dealers that we had there, and then came back, repatriated to the US, and had an opportunity to head to New York and lead the Cadillac team in really a subscription model that we had, which was very new, industry first at that time, where people could essentially subscribe to rent a car for a month. Everything but gas was included. So that was an amazing service. But it also gave me the opportunity to really lead a small yet mighty team within a large corporation. And it's similar to some of the work that I've had the opportunity to do here over the last 6 months at Hallmark Mahogany, leading this amazing team, but also understanding the rich 30-year heritage and the culture inside, are some of the things that I've just been most excited about. So very, very much a journey, but really all leading to an amazing place with a great company. When I think about the past company I was at Cadillac, it was an amazing, iconic brand. And then to come to Hallmark, similar to what you just said, watching the movies over the years, reading and receiving and giving so many mahogany cards. And now I get the opportunity to work with that team of content creators and writers every single day. It's Lisa, it's really inspiring, but it's also super cool just to talk about the journey that we are on in becoming this lifestyle brand.
What I love is like, you sort of said it as offhandedly. Well, then I went to Dubai and did that. Like that takes courage to, to start up. Granted, you were with, a large corporation, but at the same point, you're starting from scratch, really, with these different dealerships and working with so many different kinds of people, different cultures, and just saying, okay, I'm going to do it. Like, how do you get that strength? How do you get that courage to do that?
A couple of things. I think amazing mentors. I've along the journey, even in my role here, have a number of mentors within the company, but outside of the company. So mentors have really been helpful. Also, I have great parents who have always pushed me to explore. I think when we think about creatives and we also think about STEM and STEAM fields, it's that innovation and that exploration. So that also is the foundation of kind of how I live my, everyday life. And so I went to Dubai with 4 suitcases. um, and really the opportunity, I didn't know anyone. I had been connected with a couple of people prior to that experience when they announced that I would be taking that role. And one of the young ladies, she picked me up from my hotel, took me to work the first day, and the rest was history. Lisa, I was supposed to be there 6 months, and I ended up staying a year and a half because they continued to extend my assignment, asking to grow the scope of work that I had from customer experience into becoming, a marketer there, and then really into a more strategic role that aligned for what we were doing in that region, and how did we ladder that up to the work that we were doing in North America. Again, sometimes we're not sure until we're at that end place of how all of these experiences, as we think about different cultures, accepting of different religions. And as I think about what we're doing and our key pillars here at Hallmark Mahogany, they really are around faith, and that's any type of faith, that strong faith that has been kind of the linchpin of our brand. And then really that community piece that African American women are looking to continue to cultivate, in the ways in which we can touch her and her family and friends. And then that last pillar is around purpose. If I think about whether it be my personal life or the purpose that many African American women have, she is very much so rooted in purpose. And so as I think about those 3 pillars in my journey, my professional as well as personal journey, I find myself and the pieces that were important to me being part of some of the things that we're just leaning into as a brand.
Yeah, and I think obviously, I mean, taking that kind of risk, of, going to Dubai or going just anytime you sort of take yourself outside of your comfort zone, obviously there's a growing period, but also it's introducing you, as you said, to different cultures. And you're such a huge advocate for diversity. And I mean, being now part of the Mahogany brand, and we're even seeing that with Hallmark. I mean, as I said, I've been watching the channel for so long, and we're seeing it become much more diverse, just in the channel, in terms of the actors they're using, in terms of the storylines. And that's something that Hallmark Mahogany has always been a part of. But it's also something you're always been a part of. I mean, I follow you on LinkedIn, and I see all of you, what you're supporting. And where does that come from? I mean, it's one thing to have a strong belief in yourself and who you are, but to also want to share that and to help others who maybe don't have that voice.
Yeah, I was just talking to a young lady today at work. Much of it comes from, typically my family, that inner, that internal piece that is always wanting to not just only be helpful, but also to share. When I'm thinking about my LinkedIn audience and what's important to them, it really is how can we uplift them and empower them to be better people. And so most of the things that I highlight tend to be the first, sometimes the only, which can be a lonely space. But when you think about what Hallmark is about, it's really about that caring connector. And I am essentially trying to connect people to others as they're going through their everyday struggles, as they're pressing forward, as they get a little discouraged. And even in coming to the brand, I was most excited about what I was seeing, not just at the Hallmark channel and that evolution in how DEI, we were leaning in, but also just in the cards brand. I got here 6 months ago, just as they launched a 1 million card giveaway, Lisa, and I was pumped. I had not officially told very many people that I was coming to Hallmark Mahogany to lead the team, but everybody was sending me texts in pure excitement around the card giveaway, and there's so much more to come. We just announced 2 months ago that you will see Hallmark Mahogany come alive on Crown Media within our networks. So that piece is exciting as well. So in Q1, we will start to see some Mahogany content, whether it be through movies or short films. So we're excited about that. So
I expect
this
to
kind
have
of
on
we'll both be excited. And still, there's going to be an amazing Christmas that continues to lean on the diversity of not just our audience, but communities alike throughout the world. And so you'll still see that through our holiday and our current content. So that's exciting as well. And so we'll just take the next step forward, which is really providing that new and exciting content that resonates even more with our Black audiences, that's really badged Mahogany. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, and I have to give you a little shout out with you were just honored from the Lionheart Business Award or with the Lionheart Business Award. And that's really for women. It's honoring women that are all about change and really thought leadership. And obviously, this is who you are. I mean, as I said, just seeing you on social, it's not just about what you do for work, it's about who you are. And I think, as you said, the changes that you're seeing even at Hallmark and other brands, and we're seeing inclusivity being much more valued. I mean, it's much more expected from consumers right now as well. How do we keep this moment going? How do we how do we make this change not just to be about right now, but to be something that we really latch on to, because we've seen in the past things have come up and then they go back down. How do we keep marketers and people and that just moving forward with this?
Yeah, Lisa, I think the biggest thing we do is we have to be intentional. We have to be intentional in our hiring practices. We have to be intentional in the products that we make and create. I was excited, as I looked at some of the things that Crayola was doing last year with the colors of the world and the ways in which they're being so much more inclusive. Even some of the articles I had an opportunity to see this year around how those crayons and products are really making communities of color feel connected and feel seen and heard and respected. So it's the product piece. But when we think about how do we keep it going, we're very much so intentional as it relates to employees and resources, but we're also intentional in the ways in which we're developing new product for additional audiences. And most people were still having this conversation last year about this time. And we are continuing to have this conversation this year because things were put in place and because we have continued the conversation. And I'm excited, in having come over and being part of the team here at Mahogany, because Hallmark has continually embraced it, being the first in a number of different things, as we think about Crown and some of the things that have happened in the past. When we think about the evolution of all of our partner brands, Dayspring, Crayola, just to name a few, or other brands within the Hallmark family, in each and every single one of the brands, we're being very intentional in the ways in which we're being inclusive. We're being intentional in our hiring practices and our promotional practices. And I think all of those things have to continue as we think about this time and ways in which we're continuing the conversation. So I'm excited and continue to be invigorated when I talk to the rest of my counterparts throughout the organization in ways in which we're mentoring our young people to speak up. When I think about the young ladies on the Mahogany team and the men, it is really about you. You are here, you are valued, you have something to contribute. And we want to make sure that you are doing that on a daily basis and we're creating space for them. And so that's the other piece, is just creating space. It is not that you always will know everything and you have to be perfect. No, but you do have to continue to contribute and add value. And so that's what I try to make sure everyone on our team does. So it's been exciting.
Yeah, and I think that's a really key point. You're saying it's kind of, you have to keep with what's your journey. You have to, everyone's at their certain spot in a journey, but as long as the effort is to keep moving forward and to work from within, in terms of within the corporation, hopefully we'll see this, something more grow. And when you talk about the younger audience, I think we're seeing that mindset that they're more open-minded to diversity and, seeing all different types of people on screen in the ads and used in a marketing sense. I think that's a part of it too, so I think it all comes together, but it's just more about moving forward.
Yeah. And Uplifted and Empowered is a great example of a collection that we created, as part of our million card giveaway. But really the the collection resonated with so many growth audiences. We found that just a couple of talking points. We found that there was a much younger audience who found our cards in a number of different places. And so we're excited about that. The demographic of who gave and received cards tended to be much broader than our current demo. And so those are just a few indications of how, we are very relevant in adjusting to culture and how it also is paying off. So, when there always is that case for diversity, we've got to always think that many of these diverse audiences are growth audiences. And so there's going to be a lot of opportunities with them as well.
Yeah, and I think that's great. And keeping with that, the Hallmark, I guess, feeling, I love to ask about silver linings. I always like to think that there's something good. Hopefully, when something bad happens, that when you look back, there was like this silver lining. I want to ask you that. Is there a silver lining for you? Something where you thought it was horrible, it was the worst thing to happen, but it turns out it actually was the best?
Well, upon coming back from Dubai, up since I was there an extended period of time and was not, the team was held my slot for 6 to 8 months, and by the time I ended up coming in back, it was more like 15 to 18, and I didn't have an opportunity, but I was able to leverage my network, and that's what actually led me to New York. It was a conversation that I had with one of my mentors. Strategically, I tell people when they start new assignments and leave something extremely familiar and head to a new adventure or journey, a new job location, that it's important to really set the stage for conversations with leaders before you leave. And so I did that with probably 15 to 20 of my mentors and leaders, and one of them was able to provide an opportunity for me in New York. And so that's why I was able to repatriate and have an opportunity. So, at the onset, it seemed like, I came back, I had about a month or two to find a new opportunity. And I was able to because of relationships. And that one led to really the opportunity that I'm truly having today with the Hallmark Mahogany team, and leading that is that I've leveraged a lot of those small business experiences in working with a startup. And it's that same mindset that I'm actually using today as we grow and expand the brand. And so, yes, truly a silver lining, and really an opportunity. I would say to grow. Sometimes you're not expecting to do something, but when you push and do it and try something new, great things can happen. And that's again also been really foundational in the work that I've been able to do over the last 6 months here at Hallmark.
Well, and it also sounds like a real learning moment for you in terms of you kept those connections, you kept your relationships with your mentors, and I see that you carry that forward. You pay it forward in terms of what you're doing with younger people starting out and trying to be a part of their world. Is that something you're trying to not only connect with them and help them, but also share with them the importance of those kind of relationships?
Yeah, connections, I will say, when you think about a brand like Hallmark, that is what we're doing. We're allowing this caring connector to communicate with others through cards, through other gift products. And so it's fostering that stronger relationship and that continual relationship that's at the heart of what we do every day. And so this naturally was a place just based on personally who I am, my aspirations and ways in which I love to engage. I couldn't be more excited and proud, not just to work for the brand, but also to know that our senior executives really care about things like DEI, really care about the employees that work for the company. All of those things, factored into my decision to come on board as well.
Yeah, and well, because you talked about mentors, you talk about your family and how they've influenced you, but is there someone maybe who is your who's influenced you the most?
A couple, I definitely say family and very close friends, but quite transparently, my current leader is amazing. Lindsay Roy is a person. I tell my friends that I can be doing a presentation and she is rooting for me. She's nodding her head on every presentation. She's helping me behind the scenes. She's blocking and tackling. She's counseling on a weekly basis. It's incredible to really work for a person who really is ensuring that your success and your success is part of their success. So it has been truly refreshing. She has an amazing story, within her own right, but truly being able to work with her, talk with her on a, weekly basis, and really be guided in the way that I need to be guided to be extremely successful at this company. It's very seldom that you're brought in by a leader who's really consistently mentoring you, blocking and tackling, and making sure they're committed to your success as much as you are. And so, from my perspective, she has consistently been an inspiration, not just in our daily work activities, but also just in her personal life. So yeah, she's probably one person outside of my family and friends that I've had the opportunity to get to know a lot better. And then our writing community at Mahogany, I mean, they have consistently been the drumbeat for the brand over the last couple of decades. And so they continue to inspire me. The Melvina Youngs, the voice of the brand, our younger senior writers like Courtney, and some of our creative directors like Melvina, excuse me, like Deidre. So much of our content and creators continue to keep me inspired as well.
Yeah. And when you say coming over to a new company, I mean, you had a great position at Cadillac, and then you start a new company, and it sounds like there was a learning curve there still, like, which people maybe think it's seeing someone in your position wouldn't feel like, there would be. It would just be sort of an easy crossover. But is there, even at this stage, that learning curve and that, those butterflies that sort of getting started in a new brand, a new organization?
Yeah, I think if you don't think there's a learning curve, Lisa, there's going to be a problem. There absolutely is a learning curve from not necessarily how to run the business or not necessarily in how to build the brand, but you've got to take a moment and step back and understand the brand. Yes, it's iconic, but I'm now moving from automotive into CPG. They have been doing amazing things and selling epic product over the last 100 years. And so I need to respect and understand the internal processes, how the systems work, how they get work done, and just appreciate that. And then I can take steps to make the necessary changes as we evolve, as we move into new, younger audiences, as we build the bridge to our current audiences. So some of those tactical things, Lisa, those will remain the same, the process in which you do them, but really understanding the brand. I will tell you, my first day of work, I was excited to jump in and understand everything. And my leader literally was like, let's talk about the halls and why they created Hallmark and how they created it and how they built the business and what was at the core of what they were trying to achieve. And so, I'm excited. I'm ready. I've read what got you here won't get you there. I've read the first 90 days, but nothing beats culture. Nothing beats that pulse of connecting so that I fundamentally understand the why. Why are we doing this? Why do our cards and products resonate so much? Why do our ornaments, continue to have so much runway? Why do people like them? Why do they pay so much for them? It's because there's this connection piece. And so it's so important to embrace this culture. It's been amazing. I've taught culture in the Middle East from a number of different large companies, but nothing has beat this true culture that I felt in coming into Hallmark from everybody across all walks of life within the organization. People on social just saying, I've loved the product, congratulations. So just all of the love that I felt, none of it is textbook. It really all is real and genuine. And I've sincerely appreciated it, not just for myself, but even the other people, the new people on my team. So that warm welcome, it's just Hallmark. It is truly that magic of Hallmark that I've just grown to love now even more.
I've always loved it. Not from within your company, but actually, I almost did get a job on the production end of the Hallmark movies, but that would be another story when we're not with this. Even starting a new company during a pandemic, really, I mean, what was that like for you? I mean, that obviously had its own challenges.
A lot of 30-minute conversations to be able to meet a number of cross-functional people within the organization. But Lisa, I will tell you, they were amazingly lovely. So there was a care box that came like my second day of work with all of these personalized items. Our CEO sent me a personal card, like handwritten. It was lovely. The first lady that I interviewed with, Sarah Beth, sent me a handwritten card. So it's just that true caring connector. I felt that, and it's one thing to feel it when you're in the office and you're walking around and you're getting to know the teams. It's another thing to feel it 800 miles away here in Detroit, And then, as I'm, embarking on a new, not just company, but true culture, it really is warm. It really is caring. And it's very much so different from the culture that I was used to. And so I think those are all of the things that when we think about it, not necessarily being Hallmark magic, but it is a lot of magic in the ways in which we stay connected to one another, the ways in which we respect each other, the ways in which we commune to get work done. It really is thinking about the customer at the center of it and saying, what are all of the things that they could feel? What are all of the ways in which they want to connect? And that's how we start the conversations when we start to think about coming up with product for her, coming up with product for
Yeah,
families.
that sounds wonderful. Well, I want to go a little fun now. Well, I think it's fun. Um, Guilty pleasure, it's like I always see the serious side of Alexis and the professional side, but what's that guilty pleasure you have?
Lisa, I love shopping, love traveling. I've been to over 60 countries, but I also love saving. So I am, that person who is like looking for a great deal, uh, definitely a high-end deal, but always looking for a great deal. But love shopping, love fashion, probably as you can imagine. I've got 5 sisters, and so we are always exchanging items or getting new looks and inspiration. And it's also kind of cool being part of a creative company because you're always consistently inspired and you're always in culture trying to see what's next.
And do you include research? I find that it takes me forever to buy like the smallest little thing to buy, but I need to research everything about it. So then by the time it's like 6 months later when I finally buy the thing, like, or are you more that?
I must I do a lot of research and/or I find someone who's a trusted, go-to person who has done all of the research and then I can go with their rec up. So yeah, I'm always reading reviews on everything. Absolutely.
If there had to be that one impulse buy, like you just would like, or if even in the past, if there was something that you like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to buy it, and you just did, what would that have been?
Probably a handbag, Lisa. I am a handbag lady. I love a good, very much so different art piece, as you sit it on the table. I love a good bag. Yeah. So I can be a bit impulsive about a couple of handbags, but I'm still saving and still looking for some good value.
Well, that's good to hear. We don't want to worry about you there. Be no home, but you'll have millions of handbags surrounding you.
I have it all.
So, what about for your daily life in the sense of, is there anything you do that maybe makes you feel like it makes you a better, boss, a better coworker, like just something that you do, not necessarily for work, but for yourself, it makes you better?
Yeah, a couple of things. Probably reading is at the top. So I'm always reading what's happening in culture, what's changing. So I can add those voiceovers in meetings and conversations. And it's very much so relevant and in tune to culture. And as you can imagine, marketing to African American audiences over the last 5 years has dramatically shifted and changed. And so you have to very much so be in tune with culture. And then with my team, I really give them the space. I think great leaders give you a direction, but they also give you space. So I'm always giving them the space to be what I call excellent, but not perfect. When you're fighting for perfection or you're aiming for perfection, there's a lot of things that go by the wayside and it adds a lot of stress. But when you're just looking to be excellent, you can still do things well and give yourself grace. And so I think it's important to allow teams that you're leading some grace and space. And so I try to make sure I'm doing that.
So you allow your teams to give them space, not necessarily have to be perfect. How about Alexis? Do you allow yourself not to be perfect?
Imperfection is the name of the game. But what I will say is it's about consistency. And so you have to be consistent, but you don't have to be perfect. Consistency is really important. And so I found that in being consistent, um, it still can get the job done.
Yep, sounds good. And finally, just I like to ask, if you couldn't be a marketer, if you couldn't be, even as much as you really had a lot of different jobs or different, as you said, you went from automotive to now CPG, but what would you do? What would you be if you couldn't be a marketer?
A track star.
A
So
track.
I always wanted to be Jackie Joyner Kersey. I can play nearly every single sport. The only thing I can't do is ice skate, but that's just yet. But I love sports. So all of the African American and many of just the female Olympians in general, I followed all of them online and kind of their journey during the Olympics to feel like I was very much so connected. So I know a lot of the stories and really was rooting for them all. So yeah, every time the Olympics comes up, I always get excited about it. So yes, something athletic for sure. But I had an athletic scholarship, weird fact. And my mom said, you can always use your body, but why not use your brain? So I had both. And so I took the academic scholarship school, and here I am today. But I still love playing every sport, and it's always enjoyable and just a great way to stay healthy. Is so important and just relax. So at the beginning of the pandemic, I walked like 3 miles a day. I still try to do 3 miles a day a couple of times a week, but play golf, tennis, all of those good things. It's so important to stay active and just to release a lot of the stress of the everyday work that we're doing.
And it's good just in case, you do have to stop marketing, you have that fallback, to be a pro golfer
Just in
or a
case.
walker or whatever it may be.
Absolutely, just in case.
Got to keep it in tone. Well, that's awesome. Alexis, thank you so much. I really appreciate you talking with me today like this. As I said, I love finding out these little aspects of you and not just all about strategy, which is what we did in our last conversation. So it was great to
Yes.
have you.
Well,
And
thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you so much for the conversation today. I enjoyed it.
good. I'm glad you did. And thank you for watching Media Post Insider Summit BTS. And we do this every week. So keep coming back. And if you have anyone you'd like me to sort of pull back the curtain on, just let me know. And I will definitely do my best. Alexis, thank you again. And we'll be seeing you, hopefully, maybe not virtually, but somewhere live at a summit or something sometime soon.
We're live soon for sure.
Sounds good. Thanks.